everyone, this is Joe Gamble, and in this video we're going to take a quick look at both of the current versions of the Fryette Power Station. We're going to show you their similarities and also highlight the differences so you can identify which version will best suit your current playing situation. So let's begin with what they both do because they're both built upon the same design concepts. All right, so both versions of the Power Station are amplifier attenuators that utilize a reactive load. And the purpose of a reactive load is to take the place of the speaker connected to the amplifier under load and to mimic the behavior of the speaker being seen by the amplifier. And after that, the power station's power amp takes a line level signal from the reactive load, and that's what drives the power amp. And after that, it's the power amp that controls all the volume from the lowest to the loudest levels. So this is an often overlooked and underexplained concept, but it's really crucial in understanding as it's kind of the key as to why the power station sounds and feels so much better than its resistive attenuation forebearers. All right, so now let's talk about the shared key features between both models. All right, so both versions of the Power Station share the same voicing options for the frequency response of the reactive load. As you can see here, it's divided into basically the low end and the high end. So for the low end, we can remain flat or add some added warmth or go super deep. And then for the top end, we can stay flat, add some extra brightness, or go super crispy edge. Both versions also share the same volume and response shaping controls for the power section, which we'll get into a little bit deeper in a few moments. Both versions also feature the same effects loop and transformer isolated balanced XLR output, as well as an unbalanced line out. Both versions of the Power Station are built on top of all two power sections to attenuate or boost the volume of your amp under load, with the PS-2 running two 6L6s at 50 watts and the PS100 running two 6550s at a walloping 100 watts of tube punishment and devastation. Also worth mentioning is that although the output rating is obviously different between the two units, the input handling is the exact same. So you have 200 watts max that you can run into both versions of the Power Station. So, you know, the most beastly amps in your stable, you can run with these and not worry about, you know, frying anything or blowing anything up. And finally, both versions of the Power Station function as silent reactive load boxes in which you can bump down your amp signal to line level and run it out to your recording interface via the balanced or unbalanced line out. Now, with what we've talked about so far, we can see that both models are identical in function other than the obvious power rating stuff. But now we're going to talk about the added features available with the PS100 that just take its functionality to a whole different level as a live playing tool. In order to understand what's happening with the PS100, we're first going to look again at the front panel of the PS2. And we can see for the power section, we have volume and then presence and depth controls to adjust the frequency response of the power section, okay? With the PS100, we have the same exact scenario, only times two. So what's happening here? Well, we want to effectively look at this as a two-channel, foot-switchable power amp where we have independent volume and EQ controls for each channel. And so what's up with that, and why would we be interested in that feature set at all? Well, let's talk about some tonal scenarios for a moment, okay? So maybe the quickest and easiest usage would be if you're a volume knob riding guitar player who likes to set your amp up, you know, one way for the entire gig and just ride your volume knob for different textures and whatnot. In this scenario, you could set your first set of controls up for your ultimate rhythm sound, you know, whatever you want your volume to be, presence and depth. And then for your second channel here, you could maybe set up for like a volume boost, less low end and more top end to make sure that you're cutting through for your leads. Or maybe another possibility would be to flip that scenario over where you use the boosted channel for, you know, when you're rolling your volume down and cleaning things up, but you want those parts to kind of maybe be chimier and get up and over top of things in the mix more. Maybe taking this to the extreme, you could easily run two separate amps with an amp switcher into the PS100 and then set up each channel to accommodate the best possible settings for each one. You know, to wit, like think about maybe, you know, running a vintage blackface right at the edge of breakup, only at the perfect volume for your cleaner stuff, and then having you know, some sort of higher gain death machine on tap for leads and sludgy rhythm stuff. Again, you know, with both amps, volumes, and EQ like highly tuned and dialed in for maximum tonal goodness. Oh, and the effects loop is switchable too, like this. All right, so in the end, we can see that there's really only 3 major differences between the PS2 and the PS100, but they're pretty major differences, right? The PS2 is a 50-watt power amp, and the PS100 is a 100-watt power amp. With the PS100, we also have the foot switchable channels and EQ capabilities for enhanced live applications. And also with the PS100, we have the foot switchable effects loop. And that's a wrap. Sure hope this video was clarifying, and we'll see you in the next one. Please like, subscribe, and hit the damn bell.